Okay, hello everybody. Now, I had a very interesting message in from one of my subscribers in Canada, and I'm going to be chatting about that because it brings together some concepts we're dealing with, and that is the 15-minute city thing, business rates, which I've been discussing, and also the electric vehicle. How this relates to astrology is it's the whole change in the economic structure and the economic environment and also the social environment, which was related to the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus this year. So what my subscriber was saying, he lives in Ontario, but he doesn't live in one of the big towns. And he said that the local businesses took a hell of a hammering during COVID. They were just kind of recovering. And now they're being hit with these business rates, extortionate rises into double figures, which are totally uncalled for and unnecessary. Plus, big rises in the property rates as well, or we would call it in the UK council tax, which we are also seeing astronomical rises because all the councils are going out of business through mismanagement. So what I thought about this is it feeds so well into this whole narrative of getting everyone into the cities, destroying the Westphalian model of nations, building up the city-states. So what happens if you're in a town and the business rates go up? As we've seen, I've been chatting about this guy, Wandering Turnip, who's doing this great expose on different towns around the UK, all the empty retail and also the empty business units. So business rates go up. People are run out of business. They can't afford to run their little shop or enterprise anymore. So you have all these vacant retail units and it's a domino effect. If you're in a nice arcade and there are 10 stores and at least 9 of them are filled, there's a vibrant atmosphere, there's interest, people keep coming. But if you only of 3 left, say the other 7 closed because of the high business rates and you're there, even if your business is viable, people are not going to come because it looks like a ghost town. It's off-putting. You can see the writing on the wall, right? So you're also going to start to reconsider your position. So the more vacancies you have, the more vacancies you will have. And this is exactly what they want. So my subscriber was saying it's got to the point where every sort of twice a month, he has to take a long trip out of town to other stores in bigger cities to get all his stuff. And because fuel or gas prices are so high, that's not always an easy thing to do either. So you can see, he said it's unsustainable. What are they thinking? Well, they're thinking they're going to put the squeeze on you because the more this goes on, the more you're going to think, well, I can't live in this town anymore. We know what they're doing to farmers. They don't want farming. They know there's power in the land. People who live more rurally, they're connected to the land, they have strong communities, they're usually quite homogenous, they have the freedom to grow their own food, they connect with the local businesses and the local farmers so that they're more insulated from the kind of stunts they can pull in the big cities. So they want to make it not viable for you to live in those locations, so you're drawn into the city. Once you're in the city, they're vulnerable to surveillance, everyone's cramped in, they strip you of your dignity, less access to food because you're away from the food chain. You're in a truckatarian economy, as Max Igan calls it, because everything you rely on has to come in on a truck. And what's more, cities are very diverse. There's no cohesion. So once they get you in the city, everyone's a stranger. No one talks to anyone. Everyone's from a different place. So you've got no sense of community, and that's a threat to them. Now, something that David Icke is always saying is they're the 99%, we're the 99%. They're the 1%, therefore we have the power. But that's wrong. What he's not telling you is a 1% who are extremely determined, have a lot of focus, are very coordinated and cohesive, or even homogenous, are going to win every time over a 99% that are totally divided, badly informed, clueless about what's going on, and are at each other's throats. That's why they want us all hating the other chess pieces on the chessboard and not looking at who the chess players are. Which is why, Rogan and Alex Jones and David, none of them are going to tell you who the enemy is. They all want to make it like vague. It's a New World Order. It's Satan. It's the Waikiki Force. It's, wheels within a wheel, and you never really get to the middle. It's all going to be very confusing. So they get you away from the land. They get you into the cities, and there they can control you. They can weaken you. They've got you where they want you. Let's see if there was anything I was going to say about that. Yeah, it's this massive melting pot, right? So no one's going to get on. They get you away from the farms, all done. Second thing, I think this whole business with the blocking traffic and putting up the barriers and talking about zoning with the 15-minute cities was a bit of a psyop. They don't need any of that. All they need to do is to say, well, phasing out electric and diesel cars. You won't be able to buy them anymore. Because once you have to have an electric, there just aren't enough resources or rare earth minerals to make that many electric cars. So only about 5% of the people who now have a car will move to an electric car because of the costs involved. So what are you going to do? You got to walk or you got to cycle. So you can't really go too far, can you? Then they'll say, but you can take a bus. Yes, but buses have to be an electric as well. So how many electric buses can there really be to cater for this massive demand? Everyone that was in a car has got to go into a bus. But they're usually cutting buses down and reducing the bus routes. And if you rely on a bus, usually it's the local council or the local authority that have to designate these bus routes or put them on. Sometimes they private businesses. But yeah, so you're stuck. You might not be near a bus route. Your bus route might be cancelled. You can take a train. Well, not all of us live near a train. And even if you do, like where I live, you either go north or you go south. So you go into London or north to the towns north. But you can't go to all the other places you could go if you had a car. And also, if you don't have a car, you can't shop as much because you've got to schlep it all home and you don't want to carry all that on the bus. So in every way, that is now limiting you to a 15-minute city. So they don't need barriers. They don't need cameras. They don't really need all that sort of stuff. That's just sort of window dressing to get you in the mood for it all, isn't it? Now, the other thing which the Wandering Turnip does quite well when he goes to these towns is he has a look at where the government has allocated this money. It's called the Levelling Up. And it's a big fund where they give a couple of million to certain towns to help uplift them, impoverished or towns that have gone into decline, to bring them up. So he goes to Stoke, which is one of the most deprived towns. I must say Middlesbrough was really depressing, as was Stoke, as was... what's that other place called anyway? It was a small place. Most people wouldn't have heard of it. What he does really well is he goes to the area where the levelling up money is apparently being spent. So he'll invariably find a big lot, maybe of 2 to 3 acres, and it's all fenced off, so you can't see what's going on behind. But they've got these lovely posters telling about malls and shopping centres and a cinema that might be coming there. But invariably, when he gets behind those barriers and has a little look in, nothing going on, bugger all happening. So people could say, well, it's timing. It's just that they've got to get everything in place and all the contracts in place and these things take time. Yeah. What's happening in the time value of money? But I believe all that money is going to be whittled away with corruption and nothing will happen. Anyway, even if it did happen, just taking a town that's in total depression with very little impetus for small business, with units closing, just plonking a random theatre or a random arena or some other cockamamie thing in the middle of it is not just going to bring about business prosperity. You need to lower business rates. But there's a strange mentality in councils. They'll look and see rows of vacant properties, but they won't. They're stubborn. They're spiteful. They'd rather have those properties empty than lower the rates. Now, someone was saying on Twitter that they have a friend who works in a council, and they were complaining to her about business rates. And her words were, having a business is a luxury. Now, you see, the mentality of people who work in government, or even some in the big corporations, is that it's noble to be a slave for these big corporations or government and do your job. It's very bourgeoisie to have a business. How dare you? Most business owners are struggling, They have a lot of gumption. It takes guts, hard work, creativity, imagination. They're exactly the type of people that make an economy tick over. Yet these morons in government and the councils, they think those people are a problem. They don't realize they create no wealth. You lower business rates. What is the use of levelling up money that's just going to be squandered? Rather, lower business rates, fill the units, you're getting some money rather than nothing, and you can bring business back. So this whole thing about levelling up is all, sorry, my roots, guys, terrible. It's all just about more money being siphoned away to friends of the government in all these contracts. Nothing will ever come of it, only white elephants, if anything. The money will be squandered, and it won't help these towns, and the mentality is all wrong. Just to finish on property rates. Now, we pay council tax in the UK. It's property tax, effectively. For that, one of the things that get done is your bins get collected. Oh, they don't even want to collect your green bin for your garden waste anymore. But the local tip where you can also take your garden waste invariably always closed for some dumb reason or another. They don't want you consuming, and therefore you won't have to throw stuff away.